Well, I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that knows anything about basketball that the number one thing that the Chaparrals are going to have to do is be able to compete with other teams in the league, and we're going to have to sign some of our top draft choices. We're going to have to. I think this year, for the first time, we've had a good draft list, and naturally, we're going to have to sign some of them to become competitive. And
when you say competitive, are you talking about the Chaparrals being competitive not only on the basketball court, but in getting those draftees in?
Well, yes. I think that Dallas, I personally feel that Dallas is a great sports town. I think Dallas, even though this is football country, I think Dallas would support a winner in basketball. And I feel like that if we had, been in second or third place this year, that we'd have probably averaged 7,000 or 8,000 a game. And I think, the Cowboys can lose a game, and they've been filling the Cotton Bowl, say, for 3 or 4 straight Sundays, and winning, and then they lose a game, and then the next Sunday, they fall off by about 10,000. So there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, people like to be number one, and this is what our whole society, this is what has made America great, is competing to be number one. And I think that we have got to start competing to be number one, and you've got to have the horses to win the race. That's all there is to it.
Every day over freeways like this, an estimated 200,000 people come from outside the city of Dallas to work in Dallas, or as City Councilman George Allen prefers to consider them, 200 potential taxpayers who aren't carrying their share. Well, after Councilman Allen proposed yesterday that the legislature pass enabling laws that would allow Dallas to tax those people driving into Dallas to work, it looks like each one of those persons has considered downtown Dallas a little farther away now. One of them is Doug Faulkner, who talked about it on Channel 8's News at Noon. The reaction is not just from the citizenry, those people who drive from the suburbs into Dallas to work for a day. Officials of the suburbs outlying Dallas have also gotten hot into the collar about this. For example, Garland Mayor Rufus Ruppert told me he thought it was provincial. He thought it didn't stand a chance. And Irving Mayor Bob Power, mayor of perhaps the biggest suburb of Dallas, maybe has some plans of his own for fighting back.
For example, if the people of Irving, of Garland, and Richardson, and other suburbs are going to be taxed because they live in our area and work in Dallas, then I think the Dallas businesses that have their locations in Dallas and do business in our cities, send their trucks and other equipment upon our public streets, should pay to us for the upkeep and maintenance of our streets in our municipalities. Something like a $5,000 a year license fee for every business in Dallas that does business in Irving or any other city.
Have you been in touch with anyone in the legislature about it yet?
No, I have not as of yet today, but I do have a great feeling of confidence in the legislators representing Dallas County, and I think they will see the unwise nature of this proposed legislation.
Well, the whole thing may be a moot question anyway. I asked one Dallas lawyer who spent years studying the legislature what chance such a bill would have in Austin. He said, none. This is Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move in a taxable Dallas suburb.
In this campaign, I will not stand still for fancy political double talk, games, or gimmicks. Now, my opponent is a great talker. That's his profession. He's a TV and radio talker, but action speaks louder than words. I'm no talker, but I'm a doer. I have a 35-year record as having done things for my city. If my opponent is still talking about the Dallas spirit being dead, he needs to stop talking, clean his political rubbish out of his ears, and start listening to something other than the sound of his own voice.
Mr. Mays and the Citizens Charter Association are absolutely scared to death to have to stoop to such desperation political statements as this. This is far beneath the dignity of Mr. Mays, who only yesterday was smiling at me and shaking my hand in his usual friendly fashion. Of course, this is not usual. Did the people of this city elect me by a 2-to-1 majority to their city council because I was a talker or a doer? And did they put me in the runoff against the overwhelming odds of the Citizens Charter Association because I am a talker or because I am a doer? I told my backers that this would be a David and Goliath affair, but I am absolutely shocked that Goliath is this worried and this desperate at this time.
Did this take the Chaparrals completely by surprise? It seemed to have taken an awful lot of other people that way after Max's resignation yesterday.
No, not really, Malcolm. We had discussed it somewhat earlier. This is something that I've given quite a bit of thought to, and it wasn't something that I just did overnight.
Did it have anything to do with the resignation of Nolan?
No, not really. It's kind of a personal thing, really.
Do you have some definite plans as to what you want to do now?
Yes, I have a couple of things in mind. I'm not going to make a decision probably for another couple of weeks. I'm just going to try to, clear my mind, clear the cobwebs, and try to be able to think properly. Because at the end of a basketball season, you're not really. Sometimes you don't have yourself all together.
Especially with a season like you've had
That's
this
true.
last year.
It's been a hectic year, to say the least.
I understand that Bob Reiner would like very much to keep you on in some capacity with the Chaparrals. Would you consider that?
Yes, we have discussed this, and I'm definitely considering this as one of the things that I might do.
It was a knee injury, and I had it operated on, and it's something that you really don't think about. You plan naturally, and if it just happens. It's one of those things that happened, and I'm glad it's over with now.
Of course, it cost you an entire year of your career, and I'm sure you regret that aspect of it.
Yeah, 1 year, that really sets you back, but I'm still young. I'm just 20 now, and I'm glad it didn't happen when I was 23, 24, and maybe, had a chance in the big leagues and get hurt at the first. That it would be more of a harm to me then than it is now.
A lot of guys, when they come off an injury like this, have a little bit of hesitation about testing that thing the first time. Did you?
Yes, well, I worked on it all summer long, just running and exercises. Then I went to winter ball in September, and for the first month I really didn't really go all out on it. I played maybe a couple innings and just tested it and come back slowly. Then after I was sure of it, then I went full speed.
Have you lost any speed as a result of the injury?
No, it doesn't seem to have bothered me at all. I've been running real good in spring training. I stole a few bases, and everything seems just right.
Dennis, they talk about the size of the Dallas defenseman, but you're not exactly the biggest defenseman in the world.
No, I guess I'm the smallest one of the five of us. John Marks is probably our biggest and strongest.
Well, when Coach Bobby Crum talks about using the size of the club to beat these guys in the corners on the boards and so forth, where does this put you? Do you try and use your heft as much as, say, the Barry Long and Mags and the bigger fellas?
No, this is probably why I'm teamed with Barry Long, because he's so big and strong, and he takes him out maybe, and I might get a chance to sneak in and get the puck. That's how you have to usually pair a defenseman, have one big strong one and another fellow that can carry the puck maybe.
I know this year in making the All-Central Hockey League team, you scored, 54 points? Which, something along those lines. It was above 50, wasn't it?
In there someplace, Vern. I'm not sure just what it was.
Was that your best season scoring?
I scored 50-some last year in Portland, too.
Do you have any really special favorite cowboy player?
Yes, I do. It's Tom Landry.
Honey, he's not a player.
That's what you think. I don't want you to sell those bald-headed guys short.
Would you all my call, fellas?
Thank you, Bart. Honored guests, members of the Ag League, ladies and gentlemen, it's a tremendous honor for me to have the opportunity to accept this award on behalf of the Dallas Cowboy Organization. Not only Clint Murkison, who has done so much in making this possible, but Tex Schramm, who put this organization together, our staff members in our organization who have worked so hard, and of course the coaching staff, and the most important, the players. It's a real honor for me to be a part of this organization for these last 11 years. I feel like this is sort of a resurrection somewhat after what happened in October. There were a few people that would have liked to have put me in this black robe in a box, about October, and kind of gotten rid of me, but I like to tell Clint's favorite story during October after we lost to the Cardinals. Everybody was kind of down on the Cowboys, but I guess me more than anybody else, and it upset Tex so much that he went down to see Clint to see what he might do to help my situation out. And of course, Clint, as you know, is an optimist, and he says, don't worry, just call Tom in and give him a new 10-year contract. Well, of course, this shook Tex up so much, he just said, let's wait, let's don't do it this week. Our PR suffered enough for 1 week.
Hey, anybody want a flag? Mike Denny created this 13-foot metal and fiberglass piece in a sculpture class at SMU. He created it in the hopes that it might be displayed in some public place, but so far there have been no takers. It's not an exact reproduction of the American flag. There are a few variations on it. Mike, exactly what does this flag symbolize?
Well, the single star element in the flag symbolizes the oneness that I'd like to see this country brought together to. And then the arrow symbolizes the direction. The country needs a definite direction. And it's actually I'd say it's a patriotic type thing. I wouldn't say that it's any type of defacing of the flag or anything like that.
Do you want to sell it?
Well, I'd like to sell it, but most of all, I'd just like to have it in a public place. And I'm having a tremendously hard time putting it anywhere because no one has room for this. I would keep it myself, but I don't have room myself. And if I don't do something with it, I'm afraid I may have to cut it up because school is almost out and I can't leave it here. So I'm in trouble.
Okay. Anybody that wants a nice American flag of sorts, contact Mike Denny at SMU Art Department. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna.
Well, our efforts have had something to do with it. I'm convinced of that because our activity in that particular area has been increased, as you mentioned, considerably in the last several months. We're making more cases now than we ever have before, and we're concentrating as much as possible on the pushers and those people who are bringing dope into this city. But this is not the only factor involved in what I believe has been a leveling off point in the use of drugs among young people. I'm not saying that it's on the decline, but I feel like we've reached a peak, and I believe it's beginning to level off.
I was very disappointed in the action the City Council of Dallas took, at least those 7 who voted for the resolution. I thought it was ill-advised that they would take such an action. I thought the results of the action were not considered by those who voted for it because I can see the results just flowing out to the detriment of all of us who live in this metropolitan region. One city, one entity, just can't take it upon itself to be the kingmakers of all of the metropolitan area. And that apparently is what the Dallas City Council, or at least the majority of them, are attempting to do by this action.
10:30 last night, we bring to close a counterfeit investigation that the Secret Service has been working on through 11 states since last September, which involves the manufacturing, passing counterfeit $20 and $10 bills. As yet, I don't know exactly how much we have here in this catch, in this house. One man was arrested last night, gave the name of George Maxim, 36 years of age, and yesterday one man was arrested in Los Angeles, gave the name of Bicus Wolf. The investigation continuing.